A lot of times we focus on the thoughts of what a woman could be, but in turn, we're not looking at how she's showing up in reality. Your sexuality and masculinity should never be hidden just because of a woman talking about something sexual or something within herself. We perceive ourselves that we are attractive because of how we feel, our self-love that we've given to ourselves, what we contribute to our life. How to be upfront with a woman without killing attraction towards one another. Now, the first tool is you have to create some substance within your life. And let me tell you what that means. Substance with your life does go into tool number 2, which I'm going to give you, but I want to clarify this because this is significantly relevant and what I don't hear a lot of. Is substance within your life means that there's particular things in your life that inspire you, that you love to do, that you wake up in the morning to see. Maybe it's your children, maybe it's your mother, maybe it's your father, maybe it's a certain sports activity that you're part of, a team, and you wake up because you're inspired by those people, and you have to have some clear goals and direction and have those people in your life. Having substance within yourself is something that you own. So what is that? It could be something as little and as much as the fact that you love and embrace yourself every single day, no matter who you are, and you wake up in the morning and you conquer that morning gym run, or you conquer that weightlifting session that you have first thing in the morning, or you conquer the every day that you wake up at 5 a.m. to read a book. What is that substance that you have that is unique from everybody else out there? And then tool number 2 is you have to have ambition and happiness, okay? So all these tools that I'm gonna give you, I want you to understand that these are tools that as a man, if you have these 8 tools, you will not kill attraction when you are showing your intent. If you have these tools, then you can also be upfront without killing attraction. And this is very, very vital, and that's why I wanna break it down in this video, is when you have happiness and you have ambition, you're not coming from a lack. So for example, if you did not have any of this, and you were unhappy, but the woman that you are dating is your lifeline to happiness, what makes you think that she's going to be able to enjoy this? That's a lot of pressure, that's a lot of need, and that also shows her that there might be other opportunities out there that will better suit her needs. It's the same thing for you guys. If you were to meet a woman and she was not happy, she was not ambitious, she was not positive, she didn't take care of herself, whatever the case may be, how attractive would you be to that woman? Probably very slim or none at all. So that's why happiness and ambition is really relevant in towards life just in general, but dating and relationships as well, especially if you're trying to cultivate something. Because typically when a man asks me, how do I be upfront with her without killing attraction, there's sometimes something lacking within that. And that's why you have to have these 8 tools in order to do this successfully and not kill attraction. Tool number 3 is you don't look at relationships with women as though you need them, okay? The difference between wanting a relationship with a woman and needing a relationship with a woman are 2 different things. Wanting and yearning for something, maybe because you worked for it, or maybe because you're sick of playing around in the field, or maybe because you want to have something permanent and build a lifestyle with someone because you're ready to embrace this and have happiness within your life. This is a want. This is something that we work for. And then you have the need. I need her to be happy. If I have a relationship, this validates me as a man. If I have this woman, that means I'm superior. If I have this hot girl, this means I'm going to be that cool guy that everybody looks at because I'm in a relationship. I need this in order for me to feel validated from within. The difference here, if you notice by when I broke it down, is the want is because you worked for something. The need is because you're still working on something. You understand, guys? So when we look at relationships, these 2 different ways, and we look at it from, I do want it, but I don't need it, then You do not kill attraction when you are being upfront with a woman, because naturally you're looking at a woman as though, okay, I'm going to obviously be the best man that I can, but I'm also wanting to see what she can offer me. I worked for my life. I worked for my happiness. And the last thing I'm going to do is let a woman come in and just tear this down. So I'm looking for the right woman that is aligned with my desires, my wants, my happiness, my life, my needs, the life and the tools that you've created and ambition that you've created. And tool number 1 and tool number 2 as well is the ambition and life that you've created. This is what leads you to tool number 3. And this is exactly what I'm talking about here, guys, is the least that you need. And the more that you want and you get clear with your desires because you have tool number 1 and tool number 2, then you do not kill attraction in being upfront, because your desires, your ambition in your life doesn't take over the need of a relationship. Tool number 4 is you don't attach early on. You pace yourself, okay? So attaching early on may look like, this girl, I've never had a woman like this before. She's so beautiful and she's so hot. I want something with her right now. But yet we know nothing about her. So we're not pacing ourselves through our desires, our wants, and our needs. Because let's be honest, everybody in life has baggage, okay? It's about how we have taken that baggage and done something with it within our life. So when we go into relationships, either you can get in a relationship with a woman that has extreme baggage and maybe she has 5 kids and asking you for money on the first date. That's baggage. But let's just say you have a woman that has 5 kids and all of a sudden is made a life of her own, is ambitious, is positive, and has wonderful kids and makes a living and is well established for herself, but is looking for a man to stand by her side and bring her up in life and for her to support and for you to support. Yeah, she might have gone through her hard times and maybe that's something that has gone on with her, but the 5 kids is not baggage because she's owning it and she is inspired by this every single day, and this is what makes her that strong woman. So there's a very opportune time for men and women too to look at these things these days, because we're always blaming that people have baggage and I don't want to be with that person. She's baggage, she's baggage, he's baggage, he's baggage. But at the end of the day, everybody has baggage. What makes you think that in order for us to be successful, we have to have quote unquote baggage, what we also call fear, trauma, whatever the case may be, because this is what makes us a stronger person. So you have to pace yourself to understand where this woman is at and not attach so early on. Because as you know, in a lot of my videos, I talk about we have to focus on the reality and not the made-up Hollywood story that we have in our head. A lot of times we focus on the thoughts of what a woman could be, but in turn, we're not looking at how she's showing up in reality. She's not calling us back. She's disrespecting us. She's not interested. She has another guy that she wants to date. She's playing around in the field, but yet you want to settle down with a woman like that? No. Tool number 5 is voice your standards. Guys, there is nothing more attractive than a man having standards for himself and the other people that are in his life, meaning his friends, and even a woman that walks into his life, meaning his coworkers, meaning his job, meaning his own entrepreneurship and the employees that he hires. You know, I have to have standards for my employees. If I don't have standards for my employees, then 1, as human nature, we're not respected. And number 2, there's no guidance. There's no guidance to what direction that they need to be in order to get to where they want to be. Because in order to get to where they want to be, they have to know what makes me tick and what makes me talk in order to develop something more substantial, something more successful, right? So I'm talking in the line of business here, but the same thing goes in relationships. In order to build something substantial and loving and vibrant and healthy, we must have standards for one another. If we don't have standards, then we have no boundary. We have no foundation. It's like us building a building on top of an unstable foundation. And then finally, it's going to be demolished and it's going to fall down. What we need is that stable foundation. And how we get it is really understanding your standards that you want and expect from women. And the way you do this is you have to live by your values and you have to respect yourself and also other people. So practice I always have my clients do is I have them write down what they don't want from women and what they do want from women. And they can use their past experiences as something that they don't want from women as well. So if this is you and you're trying to get clear on your standards, do an activity like this and start to really be visual and seeing what your standards are, so you can start living in integrity with them and saying yes to the right people and saying no to the wrong ones. Tool number 6, it's kind of like tool number 5, but get clear on the idea of the woman that you want, because a lot of times, you know, it's more prone for women to have their like checklist, right? Oh, he has to be tall, he has to be handsome, blah, blah, blah. But half the time that doesn't even work out. We end up falling in love with someone that earns our heart because we're emotion. To talk a lot about it in my boot camps. But in the other terms is men also too, they don't really sit down all the time. And I'm not saying all men do this, but they don't really sit down and really think about what they want from a woman, right? So for example, if you're a guy that's an entrepreneur, let's just say, well, you need time to invest in other things in your life. So your time is very limited. So you probably want a woman that's understanding. You want a woman that's open to communication and that is a good listener and that wants to build something and probably has ambitions of her own that takes up time. Let's just say that you are an athlete. You want someone with a healthy lifestyle, things like that, that are really effective within each other. So figure out what that is. Which leads me into tool number 7, is make sure the both of you have the same goal. This is so vital within life, and the goals can change, and that's why as relationships you constantly have to check in. So what is your goal in life? Like, what is the same goal that the both of you have in life? Because typically we go through life sometimes with blinders on and we don't even know what we expect from life, and that's when life starts happening to us instead of for us. So what we have to build is we have to build certain goals and aspirations that the both of us can work for within life, in a partnership, and in general within ourselves. So what is your goal? What is your purpose? What is it that you want? It can be something as starting a family, or it can be something as I want to inspire people. I want to build a platform for my photography. I want to build a platform for my writing. I want to become a race car driver, whatever the case may be. What is that goal? Get clear with that goal and talk about it early on with a woman to see if she is somewhat aligned with the same aspiration as you. Tool number 8 is the last tool of all, and I'm sure this is exactly what you're looking for in this video. And I'm glad that you stayed till the very end because this is what I'm giving you. If you master the 7 tools that I'm giving you in this video, understand that this comes from self-integrity, self-confidence, self-worth, and ambition. This also comes from a lot of positive mindset activities that you have to do for yourself every single day. Because I see so many men that comment on this channel or out there and message me and email me, and they're always stuck in this fixed mindset that I've never had a woman look at me this way, I'll never have a girlfriend. Well, right there is your problem. When you come from lack and scarcity, you will never get what you want. Life does not work for you if you're not willing to work for it. So what's very, very vital is if you want to be upfront with women because you don't want to kill attraction, and you have these 7 tools that I'm talking about, then this 8th tool is going to come naturally. And that is being upfront with her and being very direct in what it is that you want and saying it with intent, and that you're not scared of an outcome. You're not attached of an outcome from her. So you can voice clearly what you're looking for, especially when a woman asks. When a woman knows that you're pacing yourself, you're going with the flow, you're not putting so much energy in what does she think about me, but you're willing to show her, then you can upfront and say when she asks, so what are you looking for? You can say, well, I'm looking for something as a relationship. I'm looking for something more deeper and getting to know you on a deeper level and taking this one step at a time and seeing how things go. There's so much more strength in something like that when you come through with those 7 tools that I'm talking about in this video. So when is the perfect time to escalate Apollonia? I'm going to tell you something right now, guys. There is no perfect time to sexually escalate with a woman because you create this, okay? Yes, as a man, you create this. Sometimes a woman's going to initiate this, which I talk about a lot in my How to Escalate cheat sheet, which I really encourage you guys to download if this is something that interests you in this video. Because of the fact that you create this, or a woman creates this at times because she can say something and then you reciprocate is the challenge. So I'm going to talk about some key principles that you have to understand on when it's the right time to escalate because you create it. So if you create escalation, then you escalate on your time and you see how the woman reciprocates. So the first thing to do is you have to look at how you are relaxed and if she seems relaxed. If she seems relaxed around you and you're relaxed around her, you get her to the stage of being relaxed. How do you get her to the stage of being relaxed? You can play some escalation games, which I tell you about in my How to Escalate cheat sheet. And I really encourage you to do those escalation games because that's how you can become more relaxed around a woman and also have her more relaxed around you. I want her also to feel excited about you. She's going to feel excited about you and playing with you, laughing with you, joking with you, creating banter, maybe slightly making fun of you here and there, challenging you here and there on a date. That's where you can start to sexually escalate. Now, sexually escalating does not mean you tell a woman, I want to have sex with you. That's not sexually escalating. Sexually escalating is defined as you incorporate sexual behavior, sexual nature without talking about sex. There's one good thing that I teach my men that book coaching sessions with me. And I'm going to give you one scenario with this guy I was working with. His name was Ryan. And Ryan had a very monotone voice. And he was wondering why women weren't taking him serious. So there's a couple things that we tweaked, and he downloaded my Friend Zone No More product, which he got so much massive results on. But when it came to escalation in his tone of voice was something that I caught my attention right away when we were on the phone with him. So I told him, let's do a Skype call. We get on a Skype call and I told him to practice lines with me that he would typically say to sexually escalate with women. Unfortunately, he had none. So I had to teach them how to do it. Now, what's important here and how to make her feel excited and make her feel safe as well. And that's one of the other ways that you can start sexually escalating with a woman is when she feels safe around you and creates that safeness. And you know that she feels safe because of the way she's responding. So I want you to think about this one common line that I guys tell you in my videos all the time, because all my lines that I do have for you are my How to Escalate cheat sheet. But one of the common lines I tell you guys is ask a woman how she feels about public affection. So if you're a guy with a monotone voice, what I want you to really focus on is when you say something sexually, you say it more in your monotone voice, your natural voice, but then when you talk when you are in the middle of a sentence and you're actually not trying to say something sexually, you use somewhat of a sexual voice. So it's a kind of, I guess we can say, a mind game of what we're playing, but I also want you to really be intrigued by focusing on your tone of voice when you are in the process of doing this. So as a man, I had Ryan challenge himself and ask me in his voice, how would you do this? How would you ask a girl how you feel about public affection? Of course, he responded, how do you feel about public affection? No, that doesn't work. There's no like balance. There's no sexual aura around what he's saying. So what I tell him always, and I tell you men to say, I want you to practice this. And I want you to say a sentence where it sounds like a sexual voice, but then when you lead to the sexual thing, it's more of a relaxed, normal voice. So for example, so Linda, tell me something about you. How do you feel about public affection? Do you see the difference? I was very laid back, but I was had a different tone in my voice until I talked about and I said public affection. That's what I mean, men. That's what I want you to start doing and practicing your tonality when you start escalating with women. The next thing I want you to do in regards to figuring out the perfect time to escalate with women, make sure that the mood is right? You can be in a park, in Central Park, and you can sexually escalate with a woman. It doesn't mean that you have to be in the dark in a lounge and having drinks and get her liquored up in order to sexually escalate. No, start having conversations, intriguing conversations. And if she says things, women will say something. Another one of my clients reached out to me the other day and he goes, Apollonia, we've been on 4 dates and I haven't made out with her yet and we haven't really I'm having trouble escalating with her and I feel like I'm going to start being her friend if I don't. And I said, yeah, you are. And you need to. I'm going to ask you one thing. What cut you off guard that she maybe sexually said during these 4 dates? Because I can guarantee you women are want it just as much as men do. And he said, well, he did mention something about her breast. And I go, what did she say? She's like, I feel like my chest is going to explode out of this shirt. And I was like, okay, so what did you say? He says, I just laughed. No, this is where escalation is key, men. Your sexuality and masculinity should never be hidden just because of a woman talking about something sexual or something within herself. What makes a man so valuable in escalation and sexual escalation is when a woman mentions something about sex or even anything on her body that is alluding to sex, you stay there with her. So a great response would be like, I wouldn't mind seeing those breasts pop out of your shirt. That shows her your interest. Now you're sexually escalating. Now you're not hiding behind the curtain of what she's really seeing and just laughing and going along and then being nervous and being like, okay, moving on, let's talk about something else because you got nervous in that situation. You are showing your presence and you're also showing her that you're sexually attracted to her as well. So I want you to create that mood, and those are ways that you can create it as well. Now, she's going to reciprocate and possibly laugh with you, talk about it, and be embarrassed a little bit, and then you continue to be there with her and then slowly move on, and then probably come back to it every once in a while. So you want to make sure that when you are sexually escalating, that you are comfortable in your own nature and your sexuality as a man. Because a lot of times, and this could be by maybe the way you're raised or what people out there in books are telling you to do, or maybe these Hollywood stories that you're following, whatever the case may be, is you just pull back and you respect women and you don't ever escalate and you don't say this and you don't say that and you just let her make the move. It's not going to work like that, guys. You want to build the trust, yes. You want to build the respect, yes. But you also want to show your value in regards to how you feel and think about her, right? And don't hide behind that and say, I can't escalate with a woman because that means that I'm not going to respect her or she's going to think that I just want a one-night stand. No. Say things that will get her intrigued by you, and this will eventually get her to move closer to you because she wants you. It sparks attraction, and now something starts to happen between the two of you, and you can slowly kiss. You can get farther in the relationship with her, whatever you want, whatever your goal is. Understanding your self-esteem and the difference between that and confidence. Typically, self-esteem is how you view yourself. And what's really important is self-esteem is a judgment of yourself. And typically, a lot of us don't have healthy patterns and healthy judgments of ourselves. Would you agree with me? You're probably your own worst critic. I think about this all the time. The way that you talk to yourself and the way that you treat yourself, you probably wouldn't do to a friend or family member, right? And that's what I mean is we are our own worst critics. And this is where self-esteem can become hard for others and hard for people. And the thing to recognize in self-esteem is manageable, but isn't always 100% all the time. And this is what I want to explain in today's video. How you feel about yourself or how you feel about your own oneness, one self, has to be good in a mental way. So your mental health is so important when it comes to self-esteem. And as we go into this video, I'm going to explain why. Because it's vital to understand the differences. Because there is a mechanism of unhealthy self-esteem, manipulative, I should say, self-esteem, and healthy self-esteem. And this is what I want to be clear with so I can help you. Because not only does this empower you in life and women and relationships, but everything overall. People are used to asking me, how do I get self-esteem, Apollonia? Or even, you might even Google, how do I get self-esteem? Or what is the difference between self-esteem and confidence and self-dignity? And it can all somewhat mean the same thing, but a lot of them are relatable, but actually completely different. So one of the biggest things is what we teach in our society is that we have to be above average in order to feel rewarded. So what we do, let's just say, you're someone that likes to play golf, right? And you're in a league, or you're a professional golfer, I should say, and you compare yourself to Tiger Woods, and you compare because you feel that that person's above average. So what happens is you're chasing perfectionism, and you're also chasing another person's story, another person's path when you have your own. And what happens in these unhealthy patterns of self-esteem is we can use these people to encourage us to perform better, to do better, to perform better skill sets, and to learn from them. But we must know that we must embody our own selves within what we want to do in our lives. That's why it's called self-esteem. So when we have self-esteem, and we look at us, we compare ourselves to be above average. And when we're not above average, we get into an unhealthy dynamic of comparing ourselves because we think that we have to do it and we have to do things above average in order to have high self-esteem, because this is how others will see us. Does this make sense to you? If it does, keep watching. Now, what's important here is to understand that high self-esteem does not mean that you're above average. This is where our unnecessary or unhealthy logical thinking, or the stigma that has been created in just life in general, is not right. And what we got to think is, because we think we have to be above average, and this can come from different ways of life. And I want to break this down to you. It can come from people telling you, you can't be like Serena Williams. You have to be like Serena Williams. You have to be like Tiger Woods. You have to be like Apollonia Ponti. You have to be like Tom Brady. You have to be like LeBron James, right? We have to be the next Michael Jordan. And here's the thing is, Michael Jordan is going to be his own person forever. He's such an amazing basketball player, and we'll always remember him. We have to create the own sense of self. And that's why LeBron James, and that's why Tom Brady, and that's why Tiger Woods and Serena Williams have all embodied, and including myself, their own oneness of self-esteem. And they've created the definition for themselves of what their self-esteem is. And I'm going to help you do that in this video. So now it comes down to, a lot of times we create our self-esteem from negative self-esteem from people, from bullying, also what people expect from us, also narcissistic abuse because of self-esteem, right? So this can also happen on the flip side. So people typically will put narcissistic abuse or manipulative behaviors onto someone else in order to feed the ego, which is empowerment, which means I have more self-esteem, right? So now that we have the disclosure of what unhealthy mechanisms of self-esteem can be, is that. So if we put on, and let me repeat this because this is really important. A lot of times when people are manipulative, have bad behaviors, or narcissistic, or bully us, or do something, is because they have a negative view of what self-esteem is. Well, the reason why they're doing this is because if they do this, they find some superiorness. They're on a higher horse, and they have high self-esteem because of the fact that it's ego-driven, which is not high self-esteem. But they concluded in their minds as, if I do this, I'm more superior. So now my ego is fed, and now I'm the boss, and now I have high self-esteem, which in turn is actually opposite. That is a lack of self-worth, and also has a big insecurity behind it. And this is where manipulation tactics come from. And this is where the saying, not seeing the glass half full and instead seeing it half empty, comes from as well. So it's all about a shift in perspective. And what's really important is that self-esteem does not mean that it's about you feeling good only. It's about how you contribute to the others around you to make yourself also feel good. If you do unto others as though you would do to yourself, right? That is such a beautiful line that I always love to say when it comes to self-dignity and self-esteem, and also relationships, because we're going to attract what we embody. So let's talk about this as well when it comes to self-esteem, which is so important, is perfectionism. Perfectionism causes unnecessary stress, and it's an illusion that has been created by oneself. And a lot of times we forget that in order to be perfect, there's no idea of perfect. So let me repeat this. In order to be perfect, there's no idea of perfect. Perfectionism does not exist. The reason why you feel perfectionism exists is because we compare ourselves. Think about this. If you're someone that thrives for perfectionism and you've built your self-esteem off of perfectionism, your self-esteem is going to be low because you're always going to be chasing perfectionism. Nothing in life is perfect. Nobody in life is perfect. And that's the thing, is we compare ourselves to someone's perfectionism that we see in this facade, in this in this TV show or in this Instagram post, but we don't know what goes behind the scenes. Everybody has a story. And what's really important is that we're not seeking social approval, that we're not perceived as attractive because of what other people say that we are attractive. We perceive ourselves that we are attractive because of how we feel, our self-love that we've given to ourselves, what we contribute to our life, how we contribute to others, how we've built a foundation in our life and excelled, how we've taken our pain and our story into lessons and empowerment for others. And also our success. What is our success in life, right? Our success does not come from our label of how much money that we got in the bank. Yeah, that does feel great. And that's another topic, but I think that also success comes into the value that you provide others, and then everything else comes into play. The moment anything goes wrong, our self-esteem can also be invisible at times and can feel like it's deserting us at times, right? Because things do go wrong in life, and we're human, and we have the okay to feel less self-esteem in times that things go wrong. And this is why I say in the beginning of this video that self-esteem goes up and down. Self-esteem can sometimes bring you below, but then you pick back up because you have your tools. And so what we try to chase is perfectionism in self-esteem as well. And this is where it comes as a disadvantage. And what people aren't really teaching is that it's okay to feel sometimes. It's okay to feel in lack sometimes, but the question is, how long do we stay there? That is the biggest question. This is also helping you in relationships, what I'm talking about, guys, and dating, everything. So with this, let's think about this. Self-esteem should try to be as stable as possible, right? We should try to have our self-esteem as stable as possible. And how we get stable is we have our tools, right? We understand our mindset. We understand everything that I'm talking about in this video. But when we have that moment where our self-esteem feels like it deserted us because something went wrong, someone said something in the comments and said, oh, Apollonia, you're blah, 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 whatever. I might have that moment, not anymore, but I might have that moment in the past, but I know my tools. I know my story. I know my worth. I know the value I'm creating. I know the lives that I'm changing. I remind myself of it. What are my tools? My pain has become my story. And I use that again, and I don't let that happen. So I let my self-esteem also be the contributing factor of what I've done and how I feel about me, nobody else. And this is how you have stability with your self-esteem. Now, we're not going to create an illusional thought that self-esteem is always supposed to be 100% and nobody goes through life and challenges. No, it's about using your tools and being disciplined enough to be stable again when things happen. But it can be unstable and be okay with that. And if we don't have self-esteem, then we can feel inadequate and unstable all the time. And this is when we do wrong things, unnecessary things, get into the wrong relationships, make bad decisions, make bad choices for ourselves, have bad eating habits, don't have success, don't have priorities, don't have standards, and don't have integrity within ourselves. So if this speaks to you, I know that you can do this. I know that you can change this around and have that self-esteem. I want you guys to be empowered constantly, because once you're empowered within yourself, within your life, you will blossom and have the best relationships. You will blossom and have the best results in life, success, dating, jobs, everything with women, life, and everything. If you liked today's video, I encourage you to comment below, like it, also share it with a friend or share it with someone that needs this message. I always love hearing from you guys. Please comment below, and remember, you are always loved. See you in the next video.